Hello, this is Sherman Blackwell, and welcome to this week's program presented by Singing River Services. Thank you so much for joining us today. We certainly do appreciate you tuning in, and those of you that make comments, and those of you that are interested in this type of program. This program, of course, is suited for a targeted audience, those that would be interested in mental health issues, behavioral health, substance abuse, and individuals with intellectual disabilities. And that is something that we have been doing in this community for nearly 40 years with some 35 different programs, grown into 35 different programs. And that's why we do that. There are a lot of different things, a lot of different programs, a lot of different agencies that do a lot of great good here in our local area. And we want you to know by the coming to you via this media to let you know that Singing River Services is in the community offering the kinds of services that we provide. You know, a lot of people, my guest today, Wanda Bell, a lot of people think, Wanda, that, you know, we're a lot of things around here named Singing River, and so it lumps into a lot of things, but we're an outpatient facility.
Yes,
dedicated to serving individuals, to helping them assist and live as independently as they can in the community. My guest, as I mentioned, is Wanda Bell. Wanda is Program Director for Singing River Services, and we were talking a little bit earlier today that Wanda has been with the agency, be 15 years this coming February.
that's correct.
And it just seemed like I remember when you started, and like it was yesterday. And but Wanda has done a great job and has started out as case management supervisor.
That's correct.
Had your initial work was in then MR, now IDD focus, and then I think you've had pretty much every job in the book there since then.
I think I've done most
Covered
every
it,
job.
covered
there.
it pretty good. Covered it pretty good. The reason that I have Wanda on the program today is in October. October is a very busy month for a lot of different things, and it is a month when we attempt to raise the profile on certain particular issues. There are a couple of things that we're going to be notable, that'll be notable in October. And the one we want to talk about today is the Day of Diversity, which is celebrated officially October 13th, but for Singing River Services, we're going to be celebrating that October the 10th.
That's correct.
Now, Day of Diversity, and what is unique and why is the particular when we talk about community mental health and individuals that we serve. Diversity has been a part of this nation, long before there was any kind of day to celebrate it. I think America is called the Great Melting Pot, and that's for a reason. And like it or not, there always will be certain prejudices and things along those lines. That's just a fact of life. That shouldn't scare anybody. The important thing is being educated about understanding people and people's belief systems. Doesn't mean I got to agree with it. Doesn't mean I have to go along with it. But if I understand something, then I'm better. I don't act irresponsibly. And you know, one of my favorite sayings is got to have enough information to make an intelligent decision about anything that we do. The Day of Diversity, Wanda, tell us what the general meaning of that is.
Well, the Department of Mental Health in 2001 started the Day of Diversity, and it's DMH is the Multicultural Task Force of the Department of Mental Health. Thought that it very appropriate that we discuss diversity and keep it on the forefront, because when you providing services to people of different races, different cultural backgrounds, you need to know what those are to be able to serve that family. And if you have an issue with mental health, substance abuse, or your children have a problem, then you are automatically, you're touched by this. And the only way that we can do our jobs is to be aware of the cultural differences and the same, and how we're alike in so many ways. And that's what it was for. And Mississippi has been doing that, like I said, since 2001, through the state governor makes a proclamation. Of the Day of Diversity, and like I said, it's the 13th is official, but it's all that week that people are having different things to how to bring awareness.
Right. I know in the past you've had special guests at the agency, one physician, cardiologist,
Yes.
to speak and talk about the things. That was one of the most interesting ones that I've
Yes, we had one where
experience.
we all brought different foods of our ancestries and backgrounds, and had like a little potluck, and that was very enjoyable because there are so many people, staff, clients, everybody, individuals we serve, everybody that's different, and everybody likes the different food, likes to try that out, and we've dressed with appropriate. People are dressed in costumes from where their ethnic backgrounds. We've done lots of different things. I'm like you, the cardiologist speaking was one of the most interesting because he was talking about coming here and to be a doctor.
Right.
And, he was used to, he was from Lebanon, and so it was a very, very difficult. I mean, they were constantly fighting
Have
there.
a different slant on things.
Well, he was Catholic, and they were being persecuted as well, by Muslims, and it was very, very difficult. And he was talking about that. Yet, the taste and the food and all of those things that they culturally have that everybody has. It's the same that lives there.
I think it's very good that. Very appropriate that the Day of Diversity should be housed in under the umbrella of the Department of Mental Health. Of course, it reaches out and across a lot of different divisions, because when you're talking about someone with a behavioral health or a mental health issue, they're a little diverse anyway. And so the goal is to, not only when we're talking about race or ethnicity, but you're talking about personalities, you're talking about illnesses, you're talking about things that people experience. And so, to help reduce the stigma, and that's one of the goals, of course, and one reason we do this type of program and do so many other things in the community is to reduce the stigma about mental health. And there's so many things that can be done and so many successes. It's a long way to go. But there are still some good things to do. Instead of so many people, even surprisingly enough, in and out of the business, they just write people off because they're just different and that's just the way they're going to be. And some people aren't going to change or have the successes, but many are going to moderate, stabilize, and then make a positive contribution to the community.
Absolutely. So. And that we're headed for recovery for everyone, whether it be drugs and alcohol or mental health. And by recovery we mean, stable in society, being able to live, work, and play where you want to. Exactly,
to do that. My guest today is Wanda Bell. Wanda is the program director for Singing River Services and has been doing a great job for nearly 15 years there. And I'm going to make a quick turn, since we're going to talk about the kinds of things that we can do also. That I know the Day of Diversity coming up in a couple of weeks, and going to have green ribbons and those kinds of things to demonstrate that. But we also have the last full week, I believe it is, in October, is Red Ribbon Week, where we are, our prevention specialist, Deborah Smith, is in the schools and talking about and educating about alcohol and drugs. Of course, alcohol is a drug, and a lot of other things. So October's a very busy month and a great opportunity for us to be in the community to talk about things that help reduce the the stigma and those kinds of things that are, and we're making some progress.
We are. We certainly, it's much better to work on the prevention side than the side for treatment after the person is already addicted to drugs or cigarettes or whatever. It's just always the positive of, you know, if we can keep one child from ever trying drugs, then we've succeeded with that one person. And that's how you have to, you know, you have to look at it. You're not gonna win all of them, but we're winning more and more and more. That's because we're spending more and more and more, putting it into the prevention side.
Absolutely, and I know that you used to be involved in that at a pretty good level, and you always have been supportive of doing the prevention thing. It is important.
Absolutely.
And there have been some changes in the state of Mississippi about how that service can be rendered and can be done, at least on an outpatient community mental health center. And that's basically due to funding.
That's
and
correct.
So there are a lot of changes that are coming, and we're going to be talking more and more and more about that. And that's why the keynote thing when we talk about prevention is so very important. Getting involved in an individual's life at an early age can make a tremendous amount of difference. And that not only includes, it's not like it's just the individual in an isolated manner, but we're talking about the family and the whole support system that surrounds them.
And Deborah has done an excellent job of getting coalitions built with the different parents in the different school districts, and they have meeting working on those things of making sure that their children, you know, what things to look for, what to do, and activities so that, Deborah does classes all the time for children to let them, you know, to make them aware that it's a much bigger problem than people think it is sometimes. But the prevention end is so important because the treatment end, you know, it's harder to put something back together than to keep somebody from breaking it in the first place.
You are so right about that. And Deborah does, she has done some excellent programs, I know, in different schools here involving that. And that's something very important for us to, we're going to talk about that over the next few weeks. My guest, of course, today is Wanda Bell, Program Director at Singing River Services. Now, I want to remind you of the number that you see on the screen there. That number is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It serves as our mainline number, Monday through Friday, and 8 to 5 as an outpatient clinic, but it also serves as a crisis number. But if you have inquiries about some of the 35 different programs that have been ever increasing over the last 40 years at Singing River Services, or if you need to talk with someone, a person who is expert and talking about a particular need. Wanda, you used to do this. You used to head this up.
Yes, when I started this, when I started to work here, yes, sir, I did. And it's very important. People don't understand that sometimes all people need is someone to talk to. And if that can happen through a telephone, or if it's more serious than that, then we do whatever is necessary to help that individual. And not many places do that, but that's what community mental health is all about, helping the individual where they are, not sending them off somewhere to do something.
That's correct.
We're here to
help them
here in their own community.
Absolutely. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we return. We're going to cut away, take a break, and come back with Wanda Bell, Program Director here at Singing River Services. Hello, this is Sherman Blackwell, and welcome back to the second half of today's program presented by Singing River Services. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me remind you of the number you see on the screen there. That number is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you would like inquiries about some of the programs that we have at Singing River Services, if you would like some free information available, we have so many different programs, free parenting classes and things like that, and just a lot of information that we would be glad to just get to you and get in your hands. Today, Wanda Bell is my guest, and Wanda has been on the program in over a year.
Been a while.
That she has been on the program, and we appreciate her being here. She is coordinating our Day of Diversity, and we can talk about diversity and everything. It's important to understand other people. I agree with that and their background, but it's also for me to be able to be understood myself.
Absolutely.
And to be able to articulate those kinds of things. And it's very important. Wanda, as you know, 93% of what we communicate is meta-communication. That is nonverbal communication. 7% is in words. And so there are a lot of things, there are a lot of prejudging, pre-assessments that go on before many times you even meet a person, because the sensory perception, the meta-communication kind of fill up. And so how important is it, and what is the goal when we talk about is cutting through what I associate in a conscious and or an unconscious mode because of my experience, and have dialogue.
Well, dialogue is because that creates the understanding, and there's nothing like an understanding. If you understand someone or where they come from or we all have different, I don't know what you call them, like traditions and things that we follow, and all cultures do that. And if we know about those, then just the understanding of knowing that, then you are less likely to offend someone or to cause some kind of a problem that you're unaware of because you didn't know that it was culturally not cool to do that. So it's very, very important that, because dialogue leads to understanding, which leads to compassion, empathy for one another, and that's the whole reason we bring up the Day of Diversity and try to put it in the forefront, is to let people know, keep it out there in front, that it's so important. We are so different, but my goodness, we are so alike too. And I think that's very important for everyone to understand, and that dialogue is what keeps that going.
And increasing understanding is certainly a part of that, and that is, here again, by virtue of getting beyond the veneer and the expectations and the putting. It's easy to put people in categories. It's easy to lump them in. It makes my life easy. Makes people's life easier to follow this pattern, and they don't really see it, that they're not thinking for themselves. It's okay, to think for yourself and to have an understanding, and something may very good come out of that. On the local level, Wanda, what kind of things are we doing to talk about the Day of Diversity and to raise awareness for that?
Well, like I said, we're going to have ribbons. If you'd like a ribbon, please come. They're green, and they just say that you are aware of diversity and that you support the idea of dialogue to keep things going so that we can learn about one another in the very best of ways. It sounds so cliche, but it's like the golden rule: treat everyone like you want to be treated. And if you do that, if everyone did that, we would have no problems. We would have no issues to be brought up, because if you treat everybody the way you want to be treated, then it'd be a perfect society, which we know that's not going to happen, but it would just be awesome to be able to
it's always getting the other guy to do that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's it's always
is.
getting the other person.
Well, I was brought up.
That.
I really had to be born in Mississippi and moved to Arkansas when I was about 5. I had a very, and I say diverse, but my parents were very, very open. They had friends of many different, different races, different things. So I never knew that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. So I think I kind of grew up that way. And I think that helps in what I do, because, I mean, I have no preconceived ideas. You know, I take you at face value, what you are, meet you, help you from where you stand to where I stand, and that's all I can do. And I think that's what we all want to do.
Exactly. People talk about race and they talk about ethnicity. You differentiate for us. I mean, everybody is part of the human race.
Absolutely.
And but ethnicity is a part of that particular race and a particular belief system.
That's correct.
You know, and that's what they. And so a lot of people don't differentiate that, and that may come down to what is worn or what is, you know, within your own element. And so, what is intended? What's the intended outcome here again for having Day of Diversity?
The increased understanding of the importance of interracial dialogue and cooperative action, things that we can do as a group to let people know where and how we stand, improve relationships between leaders that will help all of us to live in a world with peace and understanding, and knowing that we're all different, but that we can all live peacefully.
You know, and it's not like it's just a wish kind of thing. There are always going to be struggles. They're always going to be different. They're going to be those folks that are not going to want to play or come along. But that doesn't mean that you and I don't have to, or
That's
that
right.
an individual can make a difference and do that. You
Always.
can't worry about everybody else. You change others by changing yourself, by changing your own action and how you approach that, and having an understanding about that. And that doesn't hurt to have an understanding along those lines. And so, Wanda, what if someone wants some green ribbons or wants more information about the Day of Diversity? What do they need to do?
They can please call our main number 497-0690 and ask for extension 2008, or just plug it in when that automatic thing comes in, and I'll be happy to help you with anything you need.
Okay, and we'll get that into. There's a lot of information, a lot of good information, and we certainly do support that. And also, we want to talk about the end of this month, the Red Ribbon Week, and where Deborah Smith, and we'll have her, she'll be part of this program before that time, but talk about that. It kind of goes hand in hand a little bit when you talk about the stigma that a lot of children suffer, a lot of, things when you talk about mental illness, and when you talk about drug and substance abuse and almost different cultures that come up out of. We've heard it said, the drug culture and those kinds of things, and it's, if you intervene and change one person's life, then you've done a good deal.
And that's 3/4 of what we talk about all the time about, now we have more and more grandparents raising grandchildren because of drugs and alcohol in a home setting that has interrupted the mother-father situation. And so you have lots of older individuals trying to raise young children. And it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. And if we can, help prevent that on the with children and not get them involved, then it's going to help everybody. That's what we're talking about, stigma. Dr. Blackwell made me think of Alzheimer's, because there's such a stigma to that. And now you got a whole generation of baby boomers trying to have role reversals of being parents instead of taking care of older parents that have dementia, Alzheimer's, or some form of that.
And I know that that's something very, very near to your heart.
Yes, it is.
Because you had a loved one with that. And last month we talked about that a little bit. There was a Paint It Purple Day. We're raising awareness for Alzheimer's and other dementia. But it's not you don't go too many days without someone either coming on the news or we getting alerts about an adult that's gone missing, that's wandered off and done those kinds of things. And so it gets to be taxing, gets to be challenging for the whole family, kind of when that person that you knew and loved one time kind of fades away. So we got a lot of things that we've been talking about here today, a lot of things we think that are good, and we have a lot of information for you. And the information that we may not have, we can certainly direct you to that group and to that organization to get the information. That being what is passed in the Alzheimer's Paint It Purple Day recognition. We've had Melora Jackson on this program, and she's talked about those numbers that are expected to really become exponential over the next few years. So you need information along that line. We'll be glad to share that with you. The Day of Diversity, officially October 13th, and we're going to be doing it at Singing River Services October 10th. If you would like more information about that, you can call the number on your screen there, and you can look for extension 2008, and that'll get you connected to Wanda, and she'll help you up there. And then we've got coming up, Deborah Smith to talk about Red Ribbon Week, where we are talking about prevention, intervention with children when it comes to substance abuse, alcohol, and other drugs and things along those lines. So we've got it lined up tight here for October. Wanda, thanks for being on the program. Always a pleasure to have you. We appreciate you doing what you do at Singing River Services. This is Sherman Blackwell. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we hope that something we've said will make a connection, or if you would like to have a conversation with a person about some of the programs that we have, you can call the number that you see on the screen there. It is available to you 24 hours a day. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you again next week with another special guest.